Bostrom Ministries. Beginning January 2018, Bostrom Ministries engaged in a whole new assignment by entering the airwaves of the world. Don't miss Ken and Mary Bostrom Ministries Live.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for being with us today on Ken Bostrom Ministries United in His Purpose broadcast. We thank you for being with us. You know, Ken and I just count it a privilege to reach the lost, teach the found, and preach the Word of God so we can all be united in His purpose. You know, we've had so many programs, and the programs that excite me the most is when we talk about Israel. I have a heart for Israel. I love the Jewish roots. It makes the whole Bible come alive to me. When, you know, they're Jewish people writing the Bible, and when you understand that they have idioms just like we have idioms. I always say, if you tell somebody to look for the fork in the road and they're from another country, they're going to go out and look for a knife, fork, and a spoon in a road. Utensils, they don't understand it. You come to a place to make a decision which way to go. And so that's the same way it is in the Bible. The Jewish people wrote it, and it's a lot of Jewish idioms in it. And the more you understand your Jewish roots, the more the Bible makes sense to you. So today we have the honor of having Bill Katz with us. Bill is the United States representative for Hope for Israel. And so he does a lot of speaking. And Bill, I'm just going to turn it over to you on the third row, and you just teach us what you want us to know.
Thank you. Once again, I'm saddened because of after the unveiling of the peace plan, the so-called deal of the century.
Deal of the century, yeah.
We have all these terror attacks.
Yeah.
We have, after an offer of peace, the last thing we have is peace. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, because for those of us who have lived under the shadow of war, nobody wants war.
Nobody wants
war. It's a
war.
horrible thing.
Yeah.
Imagine you are, and there are many examples that we can talk about the things we don't want. Mm-hmm. There's a community near the Gaza Strip called Nir Am, where we bring groups of people every year to work to rebuild the things that have been destroyed.
Yeah. Serdot.
I'm sorry?
Serdot? Is that one of them?
It's very near Sderot.
Okay.
And because it's contiguous, in an area that is contiguous to the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Then we have all this. You know, when there is a rocket attack, they are victims of those rocket attacks.
And they have, when they hear the siren, they have 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
15. What if you were in the shower?
Not only that, one of the worst things is the trauma.
The trauma.
Mothers.
The PTSD.
Yeah. But that mothers and children get. Because of that, because they sound the alarm and you have only 15 seconds. That's it. 15 seconds and you have to find shelter. Yeah. Not even 5 minutes or 2 minutes, because it's right next. It's right. I mean, you can see the Gaza Strip right from this community. Another sad thing we have is all these incendiary balloons. Yes. And we have seen, unfortunately, this community. This wonderful community, they had some crops, and on a hot August day, a balloon with an incendiary device. And just so this is a firebomb. And it's a very crude device. It is usually it's an open container, usually with kerosene or something burning, that is attached to a balloon or to a kite. And I want you to picture this. This is July, this is August. And there's a hot wind, there's a burning thing, and there you have this field with corn or
Yeah.
with wheat.
Yeah.
And I just want you
Ready
to
to be
understand,
harvested.
ready to be
Yeah.
harvested. One of these fire bombs lands on them, and the work of months is gone
Just like that.
in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then what can we say about other things like they recently discovered a soccer ball, which was a booby trap.
Really?
Booby trap, ready for any child. I mean,
To kick.
any child. Think about here in America where girls play soccer so well, and we have here in America the world champs. Female soccer. And imagine a little kid comes, sees that. What is the natural impulse?
You're going to kick it.
Kick the ball. And imagine you kick the
Yeah.
ball, and bam, that innocent child is cut to pieces. And unfortunately, all that is going on and on and on and on. And I hate to say it again, but the only one who will bring peace to the Middle East is the Prince of Peace.
That's it.
And this is clearly described in the book of Zechariah,
Okay.
chapter 12, where we see that this is going to happen. The chapter 12 is a very enlightening chapter, and in order to understand the whole chapter, we have to go throughout the whole content of it. And it's very interesting the way it begins, because it says, the word of the Lord concerning Israel, and it says, the Lord who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundations of the earth, and who forms the human spirit within a person, declares. Now, you would ask Mary, why would the prophet begin with this declaration?
Yeah.
This is a common literary device that prophets use. They said, I'm going to tell you these things that nobody denies, that nobody doubts. And of course, in those days, nobody denied that the Lord stretched out the heavens, who laid the foundations of the earth, and who formed the human spirit within a person. Nobody denied that.
Right.
So basically what he's saying is, just as this is absolutely indisputable, just like this is somebody that nobody doubts, what I am about to tell you should be as true as what I just have said. So all these past events, nobody denies them, nobody doubts them. So what I'm going to say about the future is as true as what I just said. So
Okay.
it says, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Now there's a verse that has been translated in different ways. Other versions in English describe this as a cup of drunkenness.
Yeah, that's what mine says.
Right, a cup of drunkenness.
I
You
have
probably
the
have
New
the
King
New King
James.
James.
Yep.
And it is true. When it comes to Israel, when it comes to Jerusalem, nations are behaving like drunks. And what do drunk people do?
Stupid things.
Things. Things that don't make any
Yeah,
sense.
that's the truth.
And let's look at the region. Look at the different countries. Countries that need to focus so much in their business, in building their nations, in taking care of their own citizens, are consumed by this rage, by this hatred against the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Think about Syria, for example. Syria. I mean, Syria has been this civil war that has been going on in Syria for so many years. So many, 500,000 people dead. I believe about 7 million displaced. Things got so bad in Syria that when at the peak of the war in July of 2018, you know where the Syrian people look refuge? Right by the border with Israel. Supposedly, the bad guys, the enemy, of Israel. They looked for shelter there. Thousands of people went by the border because they knew that Assad would not dare bring a lot of troops next to Israel.
Yeah, that's right.
And Israel supported them. Israel provided food.
Yes.
Israel provided water.
Yep.
Israel even set up a field hospital to
Yes.
take care of them. Israel even assisted the Jordanian armed forces to evacuate people. And something very interesting that has been mentioned by several journalists, not in the mainstream media, if you think about it, with this peace plan that has been proposed by President Trump, something that has never happened has happened for the first time. Arab nations are in favor of this plan. Enemy countries that were total sworn enemies of Israel are now in favor of this. Saudi Arabia.
And why are they in favor? I've been wondering.
I'm about to tell you.
Good.
I'm about to tell you. Saudi Arabia, where you have Mecca. Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. The center of, Islamic, the Islamic religion is in Saudi Arabia. It's in favor of this plan. How could it be that Qatar is in favor of this plan? Egypt has expressed support. How could this be? First time this ever happened. And I believe, and some journalists believe, but again, you're not going to see this in mainstream media, it is because they have seen what Israel did with the Syrian refugees that went to their border for assistance.
Yes.
See, you don't see in the media that, you really have to look very, very, very carefully to find a headline that talks about all the help that Israel gave to all these poor Syrian refugees that just massed by the border because they were escaping from the butcher that President Assad is.
Yeah.
Very few, very small outlets, maybe one line, page 6.
Yeah. Quite hidden.
But the Arab nations notice that. And I wonder if this is the reason why they are supporting this a state like Bahrain. And interestingly enough, Arab countries, Muslim countries are now talking to Israel. So that is a very interesting thing to keep in mind. Because that has been reported in the media that about this support. But Syria has a lot of problems. Couldn't they just take care of their people? No, they can't. They're consumed by their hatred for Israel. Lebanon.
Yeah.
We didn't know much about Lebanon for years, except that Lebanon had been taken over by Hezbollah, which is a terrorist a terror group that is a puppet of Iran. They took over the government in Lebanon, again a country with a lot of needs, a country with a lot of people. We discovered that over decades they had been building all these tunnels to infiltrate Israel from the north. Do you know how much money that kind of infrastructure takes? You know how much effort, how much money, how much labor that takes? It is millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Why don't they use it to invest in their schools, in their hospitals, in their economy? No, they're consumed by their hatred for Israel.
It's like they're drunk, they're stupid, people do stupid things.
They do stupid things.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Gaza. Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars that are sent by nations all over the world are going into the Gaza Strip, which, by the way, does not have its own electricity provided by Israel. Does not have its own water supply provided by Israel. They have, and instead of you look at Gaza, you drive around Gaza, and oh my God, it's a war zone.
Yeah. It used to be beautiful farmlands and hot greenhouses.
Not only that, they have some gorgeous coastline where they could
Yeah.
build some wonderful hotels.
Yeah.
But they don't take care of their people.
No, they don't.
And they're constantly claiming we have shortages of food, shortages of power, shortages of the. But when they fire in one night 500 rockets against Israel, rockets are expensive.
Yeah.
Where's that coming?
Iran.
Where's that money coming from?
Is it coming from Iran?
Probably so, and other sources. But again, these are people who, instead of taking care of the needs of their own citizens, providing the basic services for their own people,
Yeah.
they're investing money in tunnels, which, by the way, were destroyed by Israel, and by these the stockpiles of weapons in the Gaza Strip, despite the best blockade efforts, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And they're constantly firing against Israel. Why don't they use that money for their own people? To make life decent for people.
'Cause they
To
don't
take care of
want
their
to.
basic. And then, of course, we need to talk about Iran. Iran has problems of its own. I have friends who actually lived in Iran in 1978 before the revolution. And here comes the shocker. Tehran, the capital of Iran. In 1978, the revolution was in 79, one of every 5 people in Tehran were Jewish.
Wow.
Iran had a very large Jewish population. They all had to get out after 1979, after the...
Were they people that stayed there, like Esther, and Esther was in Persia, and they had Jewish community over there, so they just stayed there. They
Well,
didn't
it
go
is
back to
in the
Israel?
it is in the surrounding area, and of course there
Okay.
is Persia and Babylon. Of course, have historical ties to the Jewish communities. Of course, when Jerusalem was destroyed in the year 70 A.D. and the Jewish community expelled, of course, many
went
one of the
there.
main, where actually the most important work of Talmudic literature is the Babylonian Talmud, which was written by scholars who lived in what today is Iraq. And so people, when they fled, they probably went both to what is ancient Persia and ancient Babylon. Babylon being modern Iraq, Persia being modern Iran. But in 1978, one of every 5 people in the capital city of Iran were Jewish.
Jewish. Wow, I did not know that.
So where are those people now? They had to leave.
They had to leave.
They had to leave because of the government that came, the Islamic Revolution, the Ayatollah Khomeini. They had to leave.
Yeah.
And which is also a reality of what happened in the rest of the communities with a coast to the Mediterranean or in the surrounding region. So the fact is, we live in this history where no matter what offers are made, there's never peace. How many proposals and we were chatting right before the beginning of the show that that many people ignore that in 1947 the United Nations voted to create 2 states. Not just a Jewish state, but a Jewish and an Arab state.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the map,
Yeah.
and the Jewish state was a very small and feeble one, mostly with desert, with very little farmland, split in two, with basically no security, no hopes of any security.
Yeah.
And Jewish people said, "Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
We'll take it, no matter how bad it is. It is something, and something is better than nothing." My wife has a great saying that I always appreciate when I'm trying to do too much. She says, "Possible is perfect is enemy of possible." So Jewish people said, "Thank you. But Arabs said no, either everything,
The next day.
nothing. The next day, 5 armies attacked this
Tiny
newborn, tiny state
Yeah.
with the hopes of driving all the Jewish people into
Yeah.
the sea, and God protected us. But we're getting to a point when people say, when will there be peace in the Middle East? And Zechariah 12 describes that. Zechariah 12 tells us in verse 3 that all the nations of the earth are gathered against her. Here we're talking about Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But Jerusalem, by God, will be an immovable rock for all the nations. So God will protect
Yeah.
Jerusalem. But here it says, verse 4, that no matter how sophisticated the armed forces of Israel are, it is God who will protect the Jewish people. A day is coming when all the nations of the world will march against Israel,
Yeah.
against Jerusalem and Judah. And I don't want to be a false prophet here, but think about this. The most condemned nation in the United Nations is the state of Israel.
It is. Yeah.
Despite the fact that it's
Yeah.
a democratic state where
Yeah.
everybody has rights,
Yeah.
with their freedoms that are guaranteed, it is the most condemned nation. So maybe
Yeah.
something similar to the United Nations under that kind of leadership will move, but the Lord will protect Israel.
Yes, he will.
He will protect Israel, and it says here,
He's not a God that he should lie.
verse 9, it says, on
Yeah.
that day I will set out to destroy all the nations that attack Jerusalem. But the salvation will not be only physical. It says here, but notice that it says here that it's a Jewish Jerusalem, and it is a Jewish Judah.
Yeah.
Because it says here in verse 7, the Lord will save the dwellings of Judah first, so that the honor of the house of David and of Jerusalem's inhabitants may not be greater than that of Judah. And so the Lord will protect Israel.
Yes.
He will protect it himself. He will provide physical and spiritual salvation, as we're going to see in the verses that come. But we're running out of time.
We are.
And I want to make this very clear. The conflict in the Middle East is not a geopolitical problem. It is a spiritual.
It is a spiritual
conflict.
battle. Yeah.
And we have seen, if you look at the suffering of the Jewish people throughout the ages, I mean, you name it, we have been persecuted by, I mean, the list doesn't end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that I pray, I hope that you as a believer, as a disciple of Messiah will pray, is for the protection of the Jewish people, particularly at this time when we see this increase in anti-Semitic attacks all over the world. How could it be that people that extend all the way, that this hatred extends all the way from the Middle East to Argentina, where I was born, where anti-Semitic attacks went up by 500%
Wow.
in 2018.
Wow.
Where people are crying out, where rabbis, and just if you're wearing a kippah, a kippah, by the way, is the head covering.
Yeah.
That is the excuse for people to attack you.
Yeah.
It is insane. So I pray that as a believer, disciple of Messiah, you will be praying for the salvation, for the protection of the Jewish people.
Absolutely. And if you want to see more about what Israel does through other nations to help them, I mean, they're first responders. If there's an earthquake that happens anywhere in the world, they're like first responders.
Yeah.
And they come with their hospital, they come with their doctors, they come with their dogs to find the people. And if you go to Facebook or YouTube and go to Behind the Headlines, Behind the Headlines will give you reports on everything that happens that you're not going to see on the headlines, that you're not going to see in the media, the things that they do,
Yeah.
and how they help the people in the world. You know, it's just amazing what they do, and all the things that come out of Israel.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they have, in
So many innovations.
innovations. I mean, God has blessed them to be a blessing to the nations.
Yeah.
And so, I had somebody email me the other day and say, give me some scriptures about us praying for Israel. Well, if you go to, the first one I can give you is Genesis 12:12. If you bless those from Abraham, he will bless you. And if you curse those from Abraham, you will be cursed. So God bless you and shalom.
Shalom.
This is Ken and Mary Bostrom. We thank you for joining us today. We welcome you to watch us on kbntv.tv, YouTube, Facebook, mbostrom2.com. Also listen to us on WRNO Shortwave Radio. Contact us at kenbostromministries.org. God bless you today.